Welcome to this new Addon Spotlight. In this Addon Spotlight we're going to look at the Hawker Hunter package. And the Hawker Hunter package contains 10 different models. 10 different models of the Hawker Hunter, and that's from the prototype up till the MK58. In total there are 22 paint schemas included. The aircraft is designed with custom coded animations, systems and a custom coded sound pack. And originally the aircrafts were designed by Sir Sidney Cam. So really cool to see that they added, I would say, a lot of information. There are still a few things which are not working. For example, they automatically adjust the fuel levels without using the WASM. That's not, I would say, working yet, but I do expect that some more information will be added, I would say, later on. There are also a few things which you need to keep in mind is in some cases the aircraft contain TACAN receivers, but in some other, I would say, versions they're not included. So if the TACAN switches off, the needles indicate the VOR information from nav1. So really cool to see that this one has been released by Dave Garwood, I'd say pretty recently. It currently is a version, let me have a look, version 1.2. So there are already some fixes. And the original release date was the 13th of June, so already, I would say, it's already out for almost a month. Looking at the aircraft, right, you can see them already in the aircraft selector window. You can see all the different types, and when you click on them, you can see the livery types. In most cases, there are 2 liveries per aircraft, but in some cases, there's only 1. So in this case, select the FR10, and you can see that this one even has 3. So that's good to see. So we're gonna select this FR10. And then we're gonna select, I would say, departure, airport. Well, let's go to, where shall we go? Lossiemouth Air Base. Then click on fly, and let's see how these aircrafts do look like. I'm only gonna look at one model, right? I'm not gonna go to look at all the different models because there are probably minor changes between it. That's an assumption again, right? I'm not familiar with this aircraft, so if you see major changes in some of the other, I'd say, types, then let me know and then I will have a look at it. The prototype of the Hunter P1067 flew on the 20th of July. And on the 7th of September 1953, Neville Duke was flying the Mk3 and broke a world air record at a speed of 727.62 miles per hour. So it's also a pretty quick aircraft, as you can imagine. It's an old one, right? It's not, I would say, a more recent one. So let's have a look. So we're gonna say ready to fly, and then first we're gonna look at the exterior. So here you can see the aircraft. It has a nice livery, and if you look at the details, so if we go a little bit lower, you can see that they spent some time on the, I would say, liveries. Although some more, I would say, quality might be, I would say, available in the future. You can see that this one is pretty clear. For example, the screws here are not, I would say, pretty clear, as well as the text. If you're coming very close, you won't see it. Other than that, it looks nice for, I would say, for a free version, right? Because keep in mind, it still is a free version. It's not a paid version like from any third-party vendor, which requires you to pay money for it. So we shouldn't also set, I would say, too high expectations. So looking at the wheel, it looks nicely detailed, right? Nicely modeled. Here we can see the other pieces which are connected to the aircraft. Mild steel. And you can see the difference, right, between these leathers, which are, I would say, 100% sharp, and these ones which are a little bit, let's say, not so sharp. We can see that the exhaustion already, I'd say, is let's say pretty warm because there comes some heat out of it, so that's cool. So let's see if the for example the flaps etc work, right? So this works, this also works. Oh, then we should go a little bit back, and if we would say push the flaps, that will likely also work. But for that we can go inside the cockpit Because inside the cockpit we see several instruments, right? We can see that it's this is the chair. We can see the cabin temperature selector. It's not working because it's in up. Here we've got the lights, right? Landing lights, the navigation lights, the beacons and the panel lights. Then here we've got the radio channels. Over here we've got the throttle, also very important, and the anti-skid and the two-plane interconnect. The two-plane interconnect is not yet working, but do expect it to work in a future version. Then we've got several buttons which are not working yet, but that's to increase the brightness of displays. We've got some gauges here. The gauge looks like the pressure. The undercarriage, right? The gears. We've got the gear up button. So this is the button which we can use to gear up. We've got the jettisoning button. Doesn't also work. Some bombs button over here. We've got the aileron power. Here we've got the flaps. So if you search for the flaps, you will find them here. The aileron power off and the elevator power off. Here we can see the gauges, and for the gauges the same as applicable to the outside, right? These ones have been optimized, but there are several ones which do require some work. But let's give the developer some work to do that. The payload selector, the GGS master button, and the GGS brightness, which can either be bright or dimmed. Here are some other meters, like it looks like altitude, the horizon, the climb speed, the RPMs for the engine, the nautical miles, the altitude also here. Here's the fuel meter. Then we've got the time, another altimeter, right, with the altimeter with the altitude meter. Then we've got the flaps over here, which indicates in which position the flaps are, and we've got the max speed in max. Over here we do see the generator buttons, but you can't select them yet. But here's the starter master, so I assume that the starter master is used for starting the engines as well as the battery master. And we've got the yoke over here. Can you hide the yoke? No, that's currently not an option. Over here we've got the oxygen supply, which can be switched on or off. We've got the fuel systems, right, both left and right. The tank, the booster pump, the tank selector, which is not working, but both the, let's say, starboard booster pump and the port booster pump are working, so it's cool. The navigation radio over here, nav frequency and the com frequency, right? So this one is for nav 1 and 2, this one is for communication purposes, and we've got several buttons here, and as last one, the TACON, right, which is used for military purposes. For navigation. So let's give it a try, right? So we're gonna increase the throttle and then see if it goes airborne. Look. Shouldn't have done that without pressing the C button, right? Because then you can't control the aircraft. And it looks like that it requires some, I would say, corrections when going airborne. So we're airborne already. Gears up. And let's see how the meters are working, right? So you can see that the altimeter is working, right? You can see that this one is working. You can see that the speed increases. Also the other altimeters are working. The RPM is, I would say, switching. The max speed increases. Does this one? Yeah, also the auto leveling on takeoff. Say gauge works, as well as the compass, which will make sure that we're flying into the right direction. I don't see. So this is the GGS master, right? And you can switch to brightness mode or to brightness mode on or dim mode, and that will increase the, I would say, brightness of the display over here.
Request clearance to transition Charlie airspace.
So let's see how we're flying. Well, it goes really nice, right? So we can see it from here. That's something which needs to be worked on, because I would expect that this aircraft, this fighter jet, could normally handle these kind of things, but looks like it didn't, right? So let's start from one. Let's restart, I should say, one more time. So we're gonna press ready to fly. We're gonna go remove the parking brakes, and there we go. Second try. So you can see that the aircraft is sensitive, right? Because some of the things are, I would say, I would expect that the aircraft would be able to handle it, since it's a fighter jet. You can see that we're doing the gears up button. That works nicely. Right, you can see now if we look from the bottom of the aircraft, we don't see the gears anymore. So gears are now hidden. Also, if we look at the, let's say, bottom of the aircraft, we can see that the letters are pretty clear. Could be some more usage here, because if you would see this piece, you can see usage, while on this you can't see the usage really. As mentioned, right, you can already see the gouges, so that's good. So that's good. Cool.
Lossymouth Tower Hawker Whiskey 59er 6 frequency change. Scottish Center Hawker Whiskey 59er.
Let me see if the compass works, because that didn't, well, we didn't try that yet. It looks like it's moving, so that also works. Cool.
Hawker Whiskey 59er 6 Scottish Center. Squawk 0214.
Also the views, right? You can switch multiple views. Let's go outside and then use the different views over here, right? That also works nicely. In some cases they will skip this, but you have different camera positions, including this one, which will give you a cool overview of the aircraft. And you'll see that if you decrease speed, it directly impacts the aircraft. So it slows down really quick. And now don't try it again. So we're not gonna try to, I would say, do the piece again, right? The trick with the aircraft. One thing which I want to check is, okay, hey, flaps are also working. And this is what you see, right? So it's really sensitive. So that's something which probably needs to be adjusted a bit. Here we end the review of one of the Hawkers included in the Hawker package, which contains 10 different models for the Hawker aircraft. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you got questions or comments, then feel free to post them in the comment box below. And if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then make sure that you're subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.